I'm here with the director of the play, A Raisin and Son, Peter Broder. How did Walter losing the money affect people in his family?
Well, I think that's a good question, Nick. First off, I'd like to say that it relates to the wording in the poem, sags like a heavy load, because I think that Beneatha was affected the most. Her ideas were put on the back burner because Walter went out and used the money for his own dream. And I think that that's wrong of Walter, and that Beneatha really suffered because of it. And Walter losing the money also made himself suffer, obviously. So it's a good question to analyze.
How does the word explode reflect on the play?
Well, the word explode, we thought the connotation was an end to all hope. And what we did with it was we put it into the play and put it on Walter to see what reaction we could come up with. And then at first he took it pretty hard and that he wasn't doing real well, but towards the end we sort of twisted it and he took the word explode and created it into something positive where he knew what was right and that he just got more hope back and all of that.
If you could take one phrase from the poem and relate to the story, which one would you choose?
Well, that's a good question, Nick. I think A Raisin in the Sun most relates to the line, "What happens to a dream deferred," which is the first line of the poem by Langston Hughes. And I think that we related it in a way that said, just because a dream has to explode doesn't mean that life has to stop on all cylinders. The main cliche that we used was when a door of opportunity closes, you should go open and find a window. And that's the main thing that we base the story around.
What do you think is the symbolism of the plant?
Well, the plant in the story doesn't get enough nutrients and enough light in the apartment that they're already in. So when Mama comes back and grabs the plant, it shows that she's bringing it to a better place where it can have more nutrients and more light. And I think that the plant represents the family because when the family moves out of the apartment, they have more space and more room for opportunity and more room to prosper and grow.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Peter.
Thanks for having me, Nick. I'm here with co-director Neil Mitchell of the play A Raisin in the Sun. Neil, how does the line "fester like a sore" in Langston Hughes' poem "A Dream Deferred" relate to a part in the story?
That line is a very interesting part of the Langston Hughes poem. And "fester like a sore" can be related to the part when Sagai and Beneatha are talking together in the house. Sagai thinks that everything is going okay with them and everything else. Beneatha doesn't, and Sagai keeps trying to tell him that everything's all right, and he's like kind of like festering the sore, and it keeps getting festered, and it's not good.
How does Walter change throughout the story?
Well, when Walter changes at the end of the story, it can be described as being syrupy sweet, like the line Langston Hughes' poem. When Walter decides not to get the money from Lindner for the house, he's turning his mind away from his facetious motivations of himself to the greater emotional motivations of the family. When he makes this decision, he experiences a coming of age, and everyone around him feels syrupy sweet, except Mr. Lindner, of course.
Neil, describe the scene where Mr. Linder comes to get the money from Walter.
When Mr. Linder comes to get the money from Walter, Walter has been experiencing a great many things and emotions. Willie Harris took the money from his investment in the alcohol business. So he just wanted to get the money from Lindner so he could just pretend the whole thing never happened, so he never has to face his problems, the family problems and stuff like that. And I find this to be very childlike. He's not being a man. He's not owning up to his problems, and that's just not a very good character. He doesn't seem like a very good character to me.
Does it relate to the line "and then runs"?
Yes, that is what it relates to. Like Langston Hughes' poem, because he's just like running away from his problems. He's running away from everything. He just wants to get away from everything and get the money and pretend the whole thing never happened.
Thanks for coming in today, Neil.
Thanks for having me. This directing experience has been awesome. I hope to work with you again sometime.